2 a.m. January 3rd, 2026. Voronezh, Russia. A Russian Panzer S-1 flashes in the dark, swatting a tiny Ukrainian scout drone out of the sky. Inside the radar van, the operator smirks and radios his commander. Target scratched. Just a stray mosquito. We are clear. He is dead wrong. He has absolutely no idea that in the split second before it disintegrated, that stray mosquito beamed the exact high-resolution thermal coordinates of his entire 15-truck convoy directly to a Ukrainian kill team hiding in the tree line just a few miles away. This is the Oreshnik Express. Following the destruction of their strategic stockpile 2 days ago, Moscow is desperate. They are secretly moving a fresh batch of Oreshnik hypersonic missiles to the front lines under the cover of darkness. They used every trick in the book: civilian disguises, radio silence, and a heavy escort of Panzer S-1s and Krasukha 4 jammers. They thought they were ghosts, but by shooting down that drone, they just hand-delivered their exact location to the enemy. On the Ukrainian operator's tablet, the tactical map lights up. A massive red zone indicates the Russian jamming bubble, but the drone's final data packet has already done the heavy lifting. It drew a perfect bullseye on the convoy parked by the Don River. The lead operator watches the telemetry from the downed scout drone fade from his screen. He whispers into his mic, his voice flat and professional. Perfect, the Panzer is awake. The Krasukha is blasting full power. Every Russian soldier is staring at the sky. He flips a toggle switch. Deploy the river rats. The rear ramp of the truck cracks open just a few inches. One by one, 6 heavy-lift FPV drones buzz into the night. These aren't the lightweight racers you see on Instagram. These are custom-built mules carrying 6-pound shaped charge warheads. The swarm drops immediately into the sunken bed of the Don River. They level out at a terrifying altitude of just 30 feet above the black water. This is the terrain masking masterclass. By flying below the level of the riverbanks, they are physically putting a wall of earth and rock between themselves and the Russian radar. To the Panzer scanning the horizon, they simply do not exist. They are ghosts moving through a geological trench, closing the distance at 80 miles per hour. 2:08 a.m. The lead FPV drone is skimming the black water of the Don River like a skipping stone, dodging low-hanging willow branches at 60 miles per hour. Suddenly, the video feed fractures into blinding white static. The Russian Krasukha 4 electronic warfare station has swept the frequency band. It is blasting enough jamming energy to cook a microwave dinner across a 20-mile radius. The Ukrainian communication link jumps to a backup frequency, executing a pseudo-random hop sequence. 4 seconds of heart-stopping static later, the video snaps back to crystal clarity. They are back in the game. Then a shadow passes overhead. A Russian Orlan 10 reconnaissance drone cruises by at 3,000 feet, its thermal camera scanning the forest for heat sources. It should see them, but physics is on Ukraine's side. The FPV drones are flying so close to the freezing river that their thermal signature blends perfectly with the cold water. To the Russian machine above, they are invisible, just ghosts moving through the ice. Then the tree line breaks. 02:10 a.m., the target reveals itself. 15 heavy military trucks are parked in a tight column along the muddy riverbank, waiting for dawn. The Panzer S-1 is active, its gravestone radar dish spinning frantically, searching the high-altitude sectors for the threat that killed the scout drone. 30 Russian infantrymen are patrolling the perimeter, their tactical flashlights cutting through the trees, scanning the forest floor. The first FPV drone rockets out of the riverbed like a surfacing submarine. It climbs vertically, clearing the bank height in a split second. The sudden appearance of a high-speed target at point-blank range confuses the Panzer's fire control logic. The turret slews violently, firing a single 57E6 missile in panic. But the geometry is impossible. The drone is inside the missile's minimum engagement arming distance. The Russian weapon screams past the drone and explodes harmlessly in the tree line. The FPV pilot ignores the missile and dives. He slams his drone directly into the lead BTR-82A escort vehicle. The 6-pound warhead isn't enough to vaporize a tank, but it shreds the vehicle's optics and wheel assembly. The explosion echoes through the valley, sending the 30 Russian infantrymen scrambling in terror. They start firing wildly into the dark forest, shouting orders, completely unaware that the real killer wasn't the first drone. It is the swarm waiting behind it. 2:12 a.m. The burning escort vehicle acts as the perfect catalyst for chaos. The convoy grinds to a halt. Russian infantrymen are screaming over the radio, confused by the echo of the blast in the valley. A sergeant bellows orders, pointing his rifle toward the dense tree line. "Contact right, they are in the forest." 30 AK-12 assault rifles open up simultaneously, shredding the pine trees and undergrowth in a frantic wall of lead. They are fighting shadows. They have turned their backs to the river. In the hidden truck, the lead Ukrainian operator watches the Russians face the wrong direction. A cold smile touches his lips. 4 remaining FPV drones surge out of the riverbed. They don't attack in a line, they split, executing a starfish maneuver to hit the convoy from multiple vectors. The Panzer S1, however, is a formidable machine. Its search radar picks up the new contacts instantly. The twin 30mm autocannons spin up, spewing a stream of high-explosive incendiary rounds at a rate of 5,000 per minute. One of the Ukrainian drones flies directly into the curtain of fire. It disintegrates in midair, a brief puff of lithium smoke and plastic shards. But the Russians aren't just taking hits, they are hunting back. High above, the Orlan 10 reconnaissance drone, which missed the FPVs earlier, manages to triangulate the control signal spike coming from the forest. It dives. It isn't carrying cameras, it is carrying 2 small fragmentation bomblets. An explosion rips through the snow just 300 yards from the Ukrainian operator's hidden truck. The ground shakes, dirt and frozen mud rain down on the roof of their hideout. Inside, the third operator flinches, instinctively covering his head. With death raining down outside their own windshield, the operators play their ace. They switch their FPV feeds to thermal mode. The convoy lights up like a Christmas tree, but they aren't looking at the engines. They are looking at the cargo. In the center of the column, 2 long canvas-covered trailers are glowing white hot. These are the climate-controlled containers housing the Oreshnik missiles. The solid fuel inside requires precise temperature management, making them stand out against the freezing winter night like beacons. The leader points to the glowing heat signature. That's the money shot. Ignore the trucks, hit the payload. The 3 surviving drones adjust their course. They ignore the panic fire from the infantry. They ignore the Panzer trying to slew its turret. They dive in a synchronized suicide run, aiming directly for the heat. 2:13 a.m., the hunt enters its terminal phase, playing out in a terrifying high-definition silence through the FPV feed. The clouds part momentarily, and the pale winter moonlight washes over the riverbank, illuminating the target with clinical clarity. The canvas covering the central trailer is pulled tight, outlining the massive cylindrical shape of the Oreshnik missile beneath it. It looks like a sleeping dragon, glowing white-hot on the thermal overlay against the freezing night. On the ground, the Russian reaction time finally collides with reality. A young lieutenant standing by the rear of the convoy hears the high-pitched whine of the electric motors rising from the river, a sound that shouldn't be there. He spins around, his tactical light cutting through the darkness. The beam catches the black shape of the lead drone diving at 80 miles per hour, less than 50 feet away. Panic is slower than physics. The realization that his entire squad is facing the wrong way hits him like a physical blow. He desperately tries to swing his rifle around, slipping on the icy mud, while the rest of the platoon is still pouring fire into the empty forest on the other side. A few soldiers, seeing the flashlight beam, turn and unleash a desperate, uncoordinated wall of tracer fire from the hip. Red streaks of light zip past the drone's camera lens, missing by mere inches, but the trajectory is already locked. Inside the hidden Ukrainian truck, the world outside ceases to exist. A Russian mortar round lands close enough to shake the chassis, raining dirt and pine needles down from the ceiling, but the lead operator doesn't flinch. His breathing slows. His thumb pushes the control stick forward with surgical precision, ignoring the chaos erupting around his physical body to maintain the virtual lock. The Oreshnik container fills the screen, growing larger with every millisecond until the texture of the canvas consumes the entire field of view. The screen flashes white, signal lost, 02:13 a.m. and 04 seconds. The video feed cuts to black, but the reality on the riverbank turns blindingly white. The final FPV drone, a heavy-lift variant carrying a specialized 50-pound tandem warhead, slams into the side of the lead Oreshnik container at a terminal dive speed of 500 miles per hour. There is no pause. There is no second chance. The kinetic energy alone cracks the fiberglass transport tube, but it's the shaped charge that does the work. A jet of superheated copper punches through the casing and injects itself directly into the volatile solid fuel core of the Mach 10 missile. The result is not a simple explosion. It is a catastrophic molecular event. The solid rocket propellant inside the Oreshnik, designed to burn slowly to push a warhead into space, releases all its potential energy in a fraction of a second. But the real horror for the Russians is the sympathy. The initial blast wave ruptures the containers of the 14 other trucks parked nose to tail. The air fills with burning propellant. One by one, in a terrifying rapid-fire stutter, the remaining Oreshnik missiles ignite. It becomes a chain reaction of billion-dollar fireworks. The riverbank transforms into a cauldron of fire rising 500 feet into the air. The heavy steel chassis of the transport trucks are twisted into unrecognizable pretzels. The Oreshnik Express has been canceled, replaced by a crater the size of a football field. It isn't chaos. It is precise, brutal physics. A single button press has just converted hundreds of millions of dollars of advanced hypersonic technology into a puddle of molten slag. 02:15 a.m. Deep in the forest, the ground beneath the Ukrainian truck shudders violently, knocking a coffee cup off the console. The operators don't need a satellite feed to know they hit the jackpot. They can feel the shockwave through the soles of their boots. "Target destroyed," the lead operator says, his voice cutting through the ringing in their ears. "Pack it up, we're leaving." They abandon the decoy truck, rigging it with a timed incendiary charge to burn the evidence, and vanish into the night on pre-staged quad bikes. Let's look at the scoreboard. Russia tried to sneak a strategic reserve of Oreshnik missiles to the front to terrorize Ukraine for the new year. Instead, they lost an estimated 6 to 8 hypersonic weapons, a full Panzer battery, and their dignity. The financial loss is in the billions. The strategic loss is worse. Russia is now critically short on hypersonic capability, and they just proved to the world that even their most secret convoys aren't safe from a $500 drone built in a garage. So, here is the question for you guys. If you were the Russian commander, how do you explain to Putin that his shiny new missiles were destroyed by a river-skimming toy? Do you tell the truth, or do you just blame it on a smoking accident again? Smash that like button if you enjoyed watching the underdog win. Glory to Ukraine. Bye for now.